Alright, also look. Ooh, welcome back to the channel. And guess what? It's fight week. And UFC 313 is going down this weekend live at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, with the main event featuring the undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world, Alex Pereira, taking on the number one ranked light heavyweight contender in Magomed Ankalaev. And in today's video, we're going to be going over my main card breakdown analysis, as well as predictions on UFC 313's main card, as well as also speed running through my early prelims as well as regular prelim predictions as well. So, with that being said, without further ado, let's get right in to the video. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share so you can help me reach 2,000 subscribers by May. I'll deeply appreciate you. And make sure you join the official UFC Discord, link in the description. Alright, so look. For this video, I'm going to be speed running through my early prelims as well as regular prelims, and then later getting into more detailed breakdowns once we've reached the main card. Now that that's out of the way, let's begin with the curtain jerker. The first fight of the night, where we've got a bout between Jordan Santos taking on Ozzy Diaz, where I've got Ozzy Diaz taking this fight by unanimous decision. Next up on the card, we've got a featherweight bout between Chris Gutierrez taking on John Castaneda, where I've got Chris Gutierrez by unanimous decision. Next up on the card, we've got the Tough Series alum, Myron Santos taking on Francis Marshall, where I've got Myron Santos to take this dub by unanimous decision. Now, heading into the prelim fights, where we've got a welterweight bout between Alex Morono versus Carlos Lael, where I've got Carlos Lael to win this fight by second round TKO. Next up on the card, we've got a bout between Bruno Ferreira versus Arman Petrosyan, where I'll be taking the underdog for this fight and be going with Bruno Ferreira to get the job done by second round KO against Arman Petrosyan. And now for the fight that I am personally mega excited to see this Saturday night. A flyweight bout between the undefeated Ray Saruya taking on my boy Josh Van. And look, it really does seem like 2025 is the year of the no longer undefeated, because I've got my boy Josh Van taking this win by either third round TKO or unanimous decision. And look, first and foremost, I am a staunch believer in Josh Van, and I really do believe that he's got the potential to be at the tippity top of the flyweight division in the near future. And so when I'm looking at this matchup stylistically, I believe that Saruya's best outcome to victory is playing into his strong suit on the ground. But with Josh Van's notable takedown defense along with his striking superiority, I believe that those two factors alone are enough for Josh Van to not only overpower but overwhelm the UFC newcomer. Now, stacked out upon the potential pace as well as, volume he's able to maintain during a fight, similar to how he did against Cody Durden back in December, yeah, this pick is a no-brainer, and I'm going with my boy Josh Van to get the dub by either third round TKO or unanimous decision over Ray Saruya. And now last but certainly not least for the prelim fights, where we've got a bout between the 5th ranked Curtis Blaydes taking on the UFC debutant in Rizvan Kuniev, where I'll be taking Curtis Blaydes by first round KO against Rizvan Kuniev. And now for the main card, where we've got a fight between Bobby King Green going up against the Fighting Nerds' own Mauricio Rufy. And look, honestly, this one's not that complicated whatsoever, because I am highly confident that Mauricio Rufy can not only go out there and get the job done, but possibly get the job done in the first couple rounds. I mean, this guy's an absolute marksman when it comes to the striking and striking down chins with ridiculous accuracy. And, for Bobby Green, he kind of makes the job a whole lot easier. I mean, Bobby King Green has always had a tendency to leave his chin right out in the open with, his hands-down fighting style. And, after what Jalen Turner did to him, whatever durability he had left is pretty much gone. And honestly, Bobby Green's biggest flaw is actually his habit of keeping his hands low, like literally at his waist when even in the pocket. And you just can't get away with stuff like that, especially going up against someone as precise and as deadly as Mauricio Rufy. And, it's just a recipe for a disaster, honestly. And look, I can already hear it now. People already bringing up Rufy's fight against James Lantop, saying, oh, he couldn't finish him or whatever. But let's be real right now. James Lantop was an extremely tough and, young fighter that just so happened to nearly be impossible to put away. And, at the end of the day, that fight wasn't necessarily about Rufy lacking the finishing ability, but was really just a skill and moveset showcase on Rufy's part, honestly. But, with all that being said, I've got Mauricio Rufy beating Bobby King Green by second round TKO. Now, moving up on the card, we've got a women's strawweight bout between Amanda Lemos taking on Yasmin Luciendo, where I'll be taking the underdog in this fight and be going with Amanda Lemos to win this fight by unanimous decision. And now for the featured fight of the night, where we've got a lightweight bout between Jalen Turner versus Ignacio Bahamondes. And this fight is going to be an extremely entertaining one, and definitely a back and forth mirror matchup for sure. Plus, this would be the perfect test to see whether or not Bahamondes deserves a shot at the lightweight rankings. But with all that out of the way, I'm going to be going with Ignacio Bahamondes beating Jalen Turner by second round TKO or KO. And you see, Jalen Turner relies a bunch on his height and reach in a fight, which can be both an advantage and disadvantage. But with this fight, both Jalen Turner and Ignacio Bahamondes will both be standing at 6 feet and 3 inches with only 1.5 inch reach advantage on Jalen Turner's part. So that means no more reach and no more height for Jalen Turner. Meanwhile, Ignacio Bahamondes isn't just lengthy, but he's a highly skilled striker with great footwork and distance control. So I think that, looking at this fight, both guys will both be landing some solid strikes early, but I just think that Ignacio Bahamondes, with, the movement as well as the precision, will be a little too difficult for Jalen Turner to hit cleanly. I think he'll pick him apart from range and land the more effective strikes. And look, even though Jalen Turner has the tools in order to win this fight, I just don't trust him whatsoever, especially after the stunt he pulled against Renato Money Moicano during UFC 300. Yeah, hell no. That is why I'll be taking Ignacio Bahamondes by second round KO or TKO against Jalen Turner this Saturday night. And now for the co-main event of the evening, where we've got Justin, the Highlight Gaethje, taking on Rafael Fiziev for the second time for their rematch. And look, y'all, I know taking into consideration the circumstances with, Dan the Hangman getting injured or whatnot, this is still a super fun and highly contentious matchup because, coming into this fight, neither guy really has a built-in excuse or handicap. Because, look, on one hand, we all know Justin the Highlight Gaethje is, of course, coming off of his brutal flatline KO loss against Max Blessed back in April of 2024. And, we still don't know how he'll bounce back from that. Will he be the same fighter he was before, or will a war like that have taken something away from him? Meanwhile, Rafael Fiziev, on the other hand, has been out of the game for, about 1.5 years now? And, to make things even trickier, he's stepping on not only short notice, but also off of a torn ACL. And look, if you've watched any of my previous pay-per-view breakdowns, I have stressed on numerous occasions never to pick fighters coming off of humongously long layoffs, especially those coming off of injuries. And that kind of layoff, combined with, this short notice training camp, is kind of a tough spot to be in, especially against someone like Justin the Highlight Gaethje. Now, both of these guys are extremely dangerous in their own ways. Rafael Fiziev is clearly the more polished and technical striker with, his striking being a lot cleaner, sharper, and, a lot more refined than someone like Justin the Highlights. But if there were something I were to say about Rafael Fiziev going into this fight, is that he does have the tendency to fade and melt in his fights. I mean, it happened in their first fight, and it's been a reoccurring theme in several of Rafael Fiziev's, previous fights, and, even the one with Mateusz Gamrot. And that's exactly why I don't love the fact that this is his return bout after such a long layoff, and this is on short notice nonetheless. But, I think early on, I do expect him to have a lot of success. He'll likely look fast, explosive, and dangerous in the opening exchanges, but as the fight wears on, that's where I do see Justin the Highlight starting to take over. And as we all know, Justin Gaethje thrives in those chaotic, life or death type of fights, and, his pressure, volume, as well as his ability to take damage while dishing it out could be the difference maker in this fight, honestly. And I think over the course of 3 rounds, I can see Justin Gaethje breaking Rafael Fiziev down, landing the big shots, and, overlasting him with, the pace that starts to wear on Fiziev later on in the fight. That's honestly why I love that this is a 3-round fight for Justin Gaethje, because it clearly plays right into his strengths, and, I do believe that he's got the tools in order to take the dub home this Saturday night against Rafael Fiziev. That is why I've got Justin the Highlight Gaethje beating Rafael Fiziev by either a unanimous decision or a 3rd round TKO. And now for the main event of the evening, where we've got the reigning undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world, Alex Poatan Pereira, taking on Magomed Ankalaev in one of the most highly anticipated showdowns of all of 2025. And look, y'all, this is a fight that fans have been waiting for a very long time, and one that I've personally been calling for long before it was actually officially made. And, look, at first glance, this may seem like a difficult stylistic matchup for Alex Poatan, but when you analyze their skill sets and tendencies of, both fighters, it becomes clear why I will be picking Alex Poatan to get the job done in this fight against Magomed Ankalaev. One of the biggest misconceptions going into this fight is that Magomed Ankalaev is some dominant grappler who will take Pereira down and control him at will. And, that's just simply not the case. While Magomed Ankalaev can wrestle, wrestling is just not his, foundation, and it's more of a backup plan for when things, aren't necessarily going his way on the feet. And you see, I know it's kind of been the talk of the town lately, but, throughout his entire UFC career, Magomed Ankalaev has rarely initiated a wrestling-heavy game plan unless, he had nowhere else to go. I mean, for instance, let's look at his fight against Thiago Santos when, he had to get dropped insanely badly before even deciding to wrestle. Or in his fight against Jan Blachowicz, where he wasn't only getting outstruck on the feet, but his legs were getting absolutely chewed out. It was only after then, after taking some serious damage on the feet and his legs getting absolutely destroyed, when he finally resorted to going for takedowns in the later rounds. And you see, me, I personally just believe that if you're only shooting for takedowns when things aren't going your way, then a game plan like that against someone like Alex Poatan ain't finna work out so great. Another key factor here is Magomed Ankalaev not being a submission threat whatsoever. I mean, despite having 20 wins in his entire MMA career, he's got 0 submission finishes. He's not the type of grappler like, a Hamzat or an Islam that will take you down and immediately look for a choke or some type of armbar or something. Instead, his approach is more about control and top pressure rather than, hunting for a submission finish. And look, that's a big deal because it means that Pereira doesn't have to worry about an immediate threat once, the fight hits the ground. Because if Ankalaev does get him down, it's likely going to be, about maintaining position rather than actively working to turn Alex Poatan into Sleeping Beauty. I think on the feet, this fight heavily favors Alex Poatan. And yeah, Ankalaev is a really good striker in and of himself, but he's kinda methodical and calculated with his punches and not particularly high volume. I think he tends to wait for, the perfect opening rather than overwhelming his opponents with pressure or activity. I really do see an approach like that being extremely risky against someone like Alex Poatan, who is one of the most powerful and technically sound strikers in the division. I mean, one false move and you could be eating a left hook of doom to the dome piece and slept out unconscious on the canvas floor for all the world to see. Also, one of the biggest weapons in this fight will 100% be Alex Poatan's leg kicks. Magomed Ankalaev is not known for checking leg kicks pretty well, and we've seen in past fights that when he's taking too much damage, it significantly slows him down. I mean, against Jan Blachowicz, his legs got chewed up early, forcing him to change his approach. Same thing with Rakic. And if he allows Alex Poatan to attack his legs freely, it's only a matter of time before his movement and explosiveness become compromised. Ultimately, though, I believe that Magomed Ankalaev's tendency to wrestle only when his back's up against the wall will be his downfall here. I think that if he waits until he's in trouble in order to shoot for a takedown, he might not get the chance to, because we all know that Alex Pereira's power is enough to send Big Ank back to the Dagi Mountains in a blink of an eye. And even if Magomed Ankalaev does manage to get the fight to the ground, his lack of submission ability means that Pereira will always have a chance to get this fight back to the feet and reset. And on the feet, Pereira is just simply better and more dangerous of a striker. His combination of power, technique, as well as leg kicks are all major weapons that I see giving Magomed Ankalaev some serious trouble with over the course of 5 rounds. And unless Magomed Ankalaev is able to commit to a relentless wrestling approach, which, he has never shown ever in, the entire span of his career, I can only see one possible outcome. And that's Alex Poatan beating Magomed Ankalaev by either 3rd or 4th round TKO or KO against Magomed Ankalaev. Chama. But that's all I've got to say for this video. Let me know in the comment section below what are your, predictions for UFC 313's full card. And, who do you have for the main event? Magomed Ankalaev or Alex Poatan Pereira? Let me know in the comment section below. But that about wraps up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.